Good morning, everyone. We are super excited to share our new writing units with you. There has been a lot of professional learning, a lot of collaboration, and a lot of work that has gone into these units. And we are so excited because we think they are going to get our kids excited about writing in a way that they never have been before. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of some things from a district perspective, and then your writing ambassador is going to work with you on your specific unit. So, the first thing I wanted to point out briefly was the fact that the work that we're doing is tied to our Smithville School District strategic plan, and specifically the tactics of 1.4, which talks about collaborating in order to have high quality teaching. There has been a lot of collaboration between teachers and Matt Glover, between teachers in the grade level, teachers and myself. Collaboration really has driven this work. 5.2, which is customizing education to meet the interests, strengths, and needs of our students. So, a big part of our unit is that we are letting kids have more choice than what they have had before, which drives their interest and then drives their engagement in the writing process. And then, as you already know, because we use workshop model, we are focused on the specific strengths and needs of our kids. It is a balance between curriculum and what individual student needs are. And then 6.2, providing an enriching and thoughtful professional development opportunities. So our writing ambassador team, which is the ones who wrote the curriculum, went through a lot of professional learning in order to get to where we are today. Before we dove into writing units, we read two books by Matt Glover, Craft and Process Studies and Projecting Possibilities for Writers, and had several collaborative conversations with Matt virtually this last year before we dove into the writing of the unit. So our Smithville School District writing beliefs. We've referred to these before, so this is not new information, but as a reminder, these 12 beliefs are beliefs that a team of teachers and administrators collaboratively decided after reading a lot of research on best practice in writing. And I will tell you, every single one of these is embedded at some point within our writing unit. So I am so excited. I keep using that word excited, but it's so true. Excited to see our writing beliefs come to fruition even more than what they already were. Specifically, though, I want to talk about choice. We will have some open genre units where kids get to choose what genre they write in. Those are going to be in our craft and process studies that Matt talked about this morning. And the reason for that is because that drives engagement through the roof. Them being able to choose a genre, and maybe a genre that they've never written before in class. That's very possible, such as, I don't know, things off the top of my head, a blog post or a song or a, they probably don't write a ton of poetry, but poetry, any genre that they want to write in some of our units is going to be okay. And then we also had a focus of giving them, in almost all of our units, choice in topic, because that is huge too. When you're told what to write about, it for many of our kids, the engagement goes down because you may not have a passion or a lot of knowledge or scheme in order to speak to that topic. And then projecting. Our units are projected. So you'll see this is a little bit different than our reading units. We do have day to day, I'm not going to say plans because they're not necessarily lesson plans written in CETAL like our reading units are. They are projections based on what we think our students are going to need, based on looking at mentor text, looking at our standards, and looking at our own teacher mentor text that we wrote. We planned out the unit for what we thought it was going to look like. So with that, you do have the freedom that if there's only one day, for example, on a certain learning target, and you think your kids need more time, know that you have the freedom to spend another day or two on whatever you think your students need related to the primary and secondary goals in that unit. We're not throwing it Join in other things that don't relate to the units. We cannot do that this year. We have to teach the units with the primary and secondary goals in mind. Um, so yeah, projecting is part of our units and our writing ambassadors. We'll talk more about that when you get into an actual unit. Celebrations, that is something I know some of you already do, but every unit we are celebrating the work that our kids do and celebrating their work towards those primary and secondary goals. So you'll see that the celebrations are not just focused on sharing their writing, it's focused on where did you grow, how did you grow in relation to the primary and secondary goals of the unit. And then the modeling, of course, is huge in both published teacher and student mentor. All right, I wanted to show you briefly our K6 matrix. So what this is, it's all of our writing units from K through 6, color coded. The green are our process studies. So you'll see every single grade level has a process study. So remember that is topics related to, a lot of them are related to the writing process. Many of our writing ambassadors noticed that our kids really had trouble coming up with ideas. So you'll see a few units on that. Our launch units are process studies because they're learning to be independent. Our launch units are not just about routines and procedures. Those are in there, but it's also about teaching them how to be independent. And then you see other things like revision and read like a writer as well. Craft studies are in that pinkish reddish color. Super excited about those craft studies that are focused in on a specific craft an author might use. And then all the other colors, yellow, blue, purple, and gray, are our genre units. Please notice that our genre units are not like informational writing or narrative writing. Those are writing types. Informational, narrative, and opinion are writing types. Those are not genres. That is something that we talked about and built our understanding on with Matt Glover. So the genres are things such as personal narrative or memoirs or biographical sketches, fantasy. Those are genres. And that's what our units are focused on, not just a writing type. So some things you need to know about our units and about expectations at a district level. So there will be a district process for adding units. If you are interested in adding units for future consideration, definitely talk about it amongst your grade level, but you also need to contact me. We will not be adding units this school year. We need to teach the units that are the district curriculum units this year. It doesn't mean we can't change them for next year. We certainly are always looking at our curriculum, seeing how we need to modify it, because curriculum is an evolving process. But for this year, we need to teach the units that are as a part of our official curriculum. Lessons need to be aligned to primary and secondary goals of the unit, and any lesson that does not align with those needs to be taught outside of workshop time. So in the past, there was some flexibility with putting in a couple of weeks of additional lessons into some of our units. This year, we have to stick to our units, guys. We have to stick to lessons that relate to the primary and secondary goals of the unit. So if there are other things that your grade level thinks needs to be taught, and grammar is one that I hear brought up the most, which I totally understand. But if those do not relate to the goals of the unit, and if you're going to end up putting in a lot of days, like a week or more, then that is not going to be okay this year. You need to squeeze those in between units. So maybe you teach unit 1, and if you want to have a couple of grammar lessons between unit 1 and unit 2, then that is okay. Or find another time in your day to teach those units. So we have to preserve the fidelity of our units and how they have been written this year. And so, yeah, so there you do not have the freedom to put in a bunch of extra stuff. We need to stick to the projected lessons in our unit. Modifications. So as I said, a curriculum is always an evolving process. At the end of each unit, I will send out a Google form asking for feedback on that unit. That is your opportunity to share some things you think might need to be changed in those units. And then I will make sure that those are aligned with priority standards and the primary and secondary goals of the unit, along with our focus, our writing beliefs in the school district. And then the decision will be made on whether we're going to make those modifications or not. So again, after each unit, that Google form will be sent to you via email. There will be a deadline for that, so make sure that you meet that deadline so that you are able to get your voice heard through that process. Okay, support. So there are some mindset shifts. I'm going to be totally honest. There are some mindset shifts in some of these units. Open genre would be one that I'm thinking about as far as a mindset shift. Not all of us have given our students open genre choice in units before within our either craft units or process units. So please, please, please reach out for support as you need it. We want to make sure that you have an understanding of the direction that we're going and how to implement these units. So ways that you can do that. You can chat with your writing ambassador from your grade level. These ladies are absolutely amazing. They have received, again, a lot of professional development in order to know how these are written. And they can provide the why, they can provide the how to you, and answer any questions that you have. And they are absolutely always more than happy to help. You can chat with me about your units. That is part of my role, is to support you in those units. So feel free to reach out to me. We can have a conversation and I can answer any questions that you have. You can also partner with me for some coaching within those units. I highly recommend coaching, and not because it's me, but it's because coaching has a super high effect size. Like, it is super effective in regard to growing the learning of teachers. In fact, it is the highest among all the types of professional learning that you can have. Workshops, books that you read, it is one of the highest forms of, or most effective forms of professional development. So reach out. I'm happy to partner with you. I am non-evaluative. It is not my job to come into your classroom and to evaluate you. My job is to support you and help you in whatever way that I can. You can ask to borrow or purchase a copy of Projecting Possibilities for Writers by Matt Glover, or Craft and Process Studies by Matt Glover. Those were the two books we used in order to build our learning before we wrote these units. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend, before each unit, like at the top of the document, there is an overview section that is so helpful in understanding the unit and how the unit is laid out and what the focus of the unit is. So definitely read and reread those overviews, because those are super helpful. Okay, so I'm going to stop on this slide because this is a slide that your writing ambassador is going to touch on. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will be jumping around to different grade level meetings as you talk with your writing ambassador. So yeah, thank you for your time today. Again, we are super excited. We think engagement in writing is going to go through the roof with these new units. So thanks for all you do, and we will chat later.